Hi guys, welcome back to the Rooted and Ready podcast powered by NAYNET. We're excited to have you again. My name is Ruth.
And my name is Daisy, and welcome, guys, to another episode. We're so excited to have you here. Yes, so today we're continuing the conversation and just doing all that we can to equip the youth worker who is watching at the other end of this camera. And today we're going to have a conversation about the Gen Z. And, I was thinking millennials were the mighty millennials. I don't know, the Gen Z are the powerful, they move, I don't know. Yeah. Millennials are the mighty millennials.
Okay.
Yeah. And then okay, yeah. Anyway, she'll tell us. So we have an amazing guest in studio today. And just to be able to understand how effectively we can minister to the Gen Z as youth workers, because most youth workers, I think, are millennials.
And Gen X.
And Gen Z
and Gen X.
Yeah. And even maybe Gen Alpha, because now they're the ones in our congregations and in our youth ministries. So I'll let her introduce herself and she can tell us more about what she does. Hi.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm so excited to be here and a bit nervous, but my name is Sekoh and I am 21 years old. I am a student currently studying data science and analytics. I feel like sometimes when I say what I do, people are trying to connect. Why are you studying that and what you do?
So
Yeah.
But also I am a youth worker. I'm in youth ministry. I lead a movement called How to Life Kenya, which is a movement that is focused on reaching, discipling, and mobilizing Gen Z. Yes.
That's great.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe the first time I heard Hope speak, I thought to myself, wow, she's so eloquent. She's, and I think I told
you
you.
were together.
Oh,
she
thank
really
you,
is
guys.
She's so articulate in what she's speaking about.
Yeah.
So maybe you can tell us what's the height behind How to Life? What is How to Life? Yeah.
Okay. So How to Life is a very unique ministry model where it is fully youth-led. So it's young people reaching out to other young people to share the message of Jesus Christ. So from the leaders to the worship team to the people who are preaching, everyone literally is a young person. So it's like entering a youth church and there is no quote unquote pastor because statistics shows us that young people relate more with young people and young people are mostly more influential with other young people. So why not use that for ministry? So How to Life is literally taking that model and going back and saying, okay, I as a young person can reach my fellow young person and tell them about Christ.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Maybe Hope you can just talk to us about, let's just go into it in terms of misconceptions that people have, especially with Gen Z, this next generation.
Yes.
That, what are some of the misconceptions that we may have? You've heard about, you've seen how people relate with you, but actually not true.
Wow. I think first of all with Gen Z in general is probably entitlement, that you're rude.
Or people think that you're
Those are the misconceptions of
that
people
you're
have,
rude. Mainly because a lot of us are very straightforward and cutthroat.
Yeah.
So, and because you
God.
ask questions and you don't take things just because somebody has said, people assume you're rude, you don't respect authority, uneducated.
Oh.
Yes. Because now
You guys are all
people,
in school. Okay, sorry.
guys come at you like, we have our degrees and all of these things. So in a way to kind of diminish wherever you're at. But those are the main misconceptions that people have and kind of prejudices that people bring when they have conversations, even with me and other young people that I've seen. Yeah.
Oh, and especially with regards to entitlement, people think that Gen Z just feel like they need to be handed over to everything. But as you've served, especially in your organization, you're all Gen Z, and it's running. You see, now the thing is, if you're all entitled, then shouldn't it have crashed?
Yes.
And what have you seen about your generation that has made even your organization a success, that you've seen and like, wow, people really don't know this about young people?
One of the key things is that I've seen a lot of young people want to plug in. There's just no space for them to do that. I've spoken to a lot of youth pastors, especially when it comes to what How to Life is doing. And a lot of the young people are in their churches, but they don't know the people do what they do. So I'm like, oh, that person does admin work for them. I'm like, what? This person who comes to a church? And I'm like, okay, how don't you know that as a youth pastor and all? So I think there's the misconception that young people are not necessarily interested in ministry, but sometimes we're not creating room for people to actually serve and use their gifts. So, yeah.
Do you think youth pastors and youth workers they think they know, I don't know who said this, that the problem is the church is answering the question no one is asking? Yeah, so do you think in the attempt for youth workers and youth pastors trying to pastor the Gen Z and the Gen Alpha that's coming, they're answering a question that you guys are not asking?
Yes, 100%.
So how...
So what is that question?
It's true, they're so straight.
Yes,
So straight. Yes, 100%.
What more do you want? It's a yes, girl.
Yes.
Well, so how would we better? How does the youth pastor, the youth worker, whose whole congregation is Gen Z and Gen Alpha, how do they best serve you?
I think I've answered this question quite a lot, but also the more I think about it, the more it goes down to motives as well, because I think there are people who ask this question, but they are not really interested in serving you. Therefore, they're not implementing these things. But I think the first thing is, honestly, if you're in the space where you want to reach people and you want to serve them, start by doing life with them and understanding what life looks like from their shoes and their experiences. Because one of the things that a lot of ministry leaders try and implement is something that worked 30 years ago, instead of constantly reinventing the wheel to see what would serve your congregation and your audience in a much better way. And one of the key things and practical things I tell a lot of youth leaders and youth pastors is start by just inviting your young people into the decision-making table and ask them, okay, in your church, how can we make this service better? I mean, it's a youth service, and young people are involved in even how the service comes to be and stuff like that. I think that's one practical thing, by just hearing their voices and seeing the small things that probably matter to them that you would have not thought about.
Okay.
Inviting them to invite. No, I'm really taking it in, like just realizing, inviting them to your spaces, to the conversation, just listening to them. And as she said, I think what irritates maybe younger generation is you say you want to hear them, but then now they wait for like 2 years, nothing has been implemented.
Yes,
they become frustrated.
Yes.
You can become frustrated thinking that, do you really want to hear me? And I think she asked something like, what is then that question that we've answered? Something that is not there. So what is the Gen Z maybe asking of, like, even not in leadership, but just yearning to see maybe from the church, from those older than them? What is that question they're saying? I wish you guys would just do it this way. What is that your...
One key thing that I think every young person is looking for is truth. And they're always turning to the church for truth. And I think even from how we even tailor our sermons, because sometimes we'd like to dilute so much, thinking that the young person cannot comprehend, or maybe they're not having theological questions. But this person is going on TikTok and is being told that Christianity is a white man's religion. Somebody is literally breaking down the whole Trinity and telling them that the Trinity does not exist and stuff like that on TikTok, So those are your faith is literally being come at from different angles. But the church is not equipping you to handle that. So the church will come and talk to you every day about sexual purity, which is fine, the LGBTQ plus community every other day, or just give you a DJ. And I'm not against all of these things and stuff like that, and just assume this is what young people want to do. And if you keep on, like, let's say your main thing is just doing this festivities, you're coming, DJ hype men, no word party, whatever, because this is what you assume young people want, you're going to have to maintain that to keep them. So you don't have an opportunity to equip them. So people want the truth. Give them the truth. Let them ask questions. Take a Sunday and just ask, okay, what do you guys want to, the year is ending. What do you guys want to learn next year? What questions are you asking? And then from that, tailor your sermons towards that. I mean, you're going on TikTok, everyone is questioning your worldview. And in church, you don't even know why you're a believer.
Oh, man, yeah.
The main thing is that people need to pastors and leaders, we need to actually learn to build people in a way that their faith stands. In a world where everything is being thrown at you, how do you equip the young person in a way that 5 years from now, or even 2 years from now, their faith stands?
The truth stands across.
I just remembered someone saying that sometimes people or parents they shield their children so much, and instead of us shielding, how about we build up the child to be able to withstand the storms of life, instead of shielding them that they don't know these things, build up the child that they may be able to stand in the storms of life. And I think that's what Hope is saying, is that our teaching should be so grounded that this young person can be grounded. And let me ask you, Hope, do you think that's why most people in the younger generation are gravitating towards new age spirituality and this whole new age wave that's coming?
100%. I think there's new age, there's agnostics, there's people who are just falling away from the faith, and atheists and stuff like that, mainly because the church is not answering their questions. Their church is not meeting their needs. And they can't connect even the God their parents have served to whatever is going on in their lives. And then also, you're spending most time of your on social media. If you don't have a strong foundation, everything else is going to influence your beliefs. And I think if we are not keen on creating these spaces, because I think that's also something that I personally struggled with, because I was a reader, and unfortunately, I started reading. My dad would have like shelves of books on different things, so I started reading about different spiritualities and all of these things and denominations at a very young age. And I would go to my Sunday school teacher. I'm talking about like 8 years old, 9 years old. I'd go to my Sunday school teacher and ask them about Muslims and all of these things and all of that stuff. And one of the key things that I remember, I read an article or something, I think at 9, about Christian women and Muslim women. And I went to my Sunday school teacher and I asked her, why is it that Abrahamic faiths perpetuate an inferiority complex on women? And she told me, keep quiet. Yeah, we don't, because they always thought I'm trying to defy. But these are genuine questions that I have and all. So these questions have been boiling over. And at some point I was like, I'm not interested in this God. Because you can't even, you as the leader, you don't even know why you believe in what you believe in.
So why would I?
Yeah. You can't even answer. You can't even tell me why your faith is better than a Muslim's. You don't know how to defend your faith.
My God.
Why are you Christian and not Muslim?
You don't know the answer.
You don't know the answer to that. So why would I believe in your God?
Youth worker. Are you hearing?
And the
She's really checking me though.
But and then the questions are not even mean, like it's not to demean your faith. Because even you desire to know what you believe. So the questions are not coming from a place of attack. And I think that's what you're saying. People think that Gen Z are proud or they're mean or rude. And it's not attacking. They just want to know. Okay, so I just want to know. Why is this happening? My goodness, that's quite an even I think also really checking us. And also hope maybe you speak also to the youth workers who are parents and also the parents who are watching, who are feeling like, okay, there's so much and I feel like I'm maybe letting down my young person. They're not growing how I want to see. Maybe just to also encourage them, like people, okay, we've also beat on the Gen X and the boomers, and they did maybe things wrong and something very right, but how to encourage them as a Gen Z, looking up to them, and you're saying, but you're also good. Like, don't beat yourself up. Maybe speaking to...
And maybe just to add to Ruth's question, some of them really just don't know.
They just don't know.
They really just, and they want to, but they really just don't know.
But they're just getting all these attacks. Oh, you guys are doing this wrong, you're doing this wrong.
They just, you know, people just realized this year that there's something like boomers.
It was under, didn't know. But now it's when you're realizing, there's a difference in different generations. So what would you maybe speak
I think that any advice I would give to any youth worker or even parents, and something that I've even seen very practical with my mother, is any leader or parent has to be intentional with unlearning. So even when you don't know and now you know, you have to be intentional with going back and learning. I think I've seen even the way my mom has parented me, my sister, and I have an alpha brother who's just turned 8 years old right now. I've seen how she's evolved in even parenting us. And my mom would sit us down and our voices were amplified, even my dad and all. And I would say, I feel like this, and all of these things. I'd tell my mom, these are my grievances with the church. This is why I feel like I don't want to be around church spaces and I don't want to go. And we'd fight it out and all of these things. And she'd be like, okay, even if this is your beliefs right now, in this household, we are going to church, right? But she didn't make me feel like, oh, you are heathen now because you have certain things. So I think always being committed to learning and unlearning is a very practical thing. Even for myself, where I'm at, I am also unlearning the misconceptions that I could have for older people and ministry leaders and all, based on even my own experiences. And also my past traumas. I think that's a very practical thing. It's never too late to learn something new. It's never too late to reconcile. It's never too late to start listening. So that's, I think even for me and my mom became besties over like when I turned like 15, 16, besties. If you ask me at 13, she even said, she even put me in therapy because she's like, I can't understand this child. Like, help us understand, you know? But at 16, just having that room where I can come, and even my mom will come back and tell me, I am sorry.
Wow.
That's big with
Yes.
younger generation. It really is. So
I am
big,
sorry,
yeah.
because one of the key things that people don't want is that also you don't want to feel like your feelings are being invalidated. So even in the premise of you sharing your feelings, and even you as a mother or as a youth leader, knowing that you went wrong, saying sorry and humbling yourself and saying sorry, because you're also another sinful and imperfect human being, goes a long way. It humanizes you. But you constantly acting like you're holier than thou, you cannot make a mistake, you continue to push people away other than welcoming them back to you. So just continuously being in a space where you're ready to learn and unlearn. That's the best place you can be.
Beautiful.
So much to take in. It's really, where? Hey.
Yeah, realizing that. And I think the thing about apologizing, just I remember today I was dropping my niece off at VBS and I made her late. And she told me, no, you'll have to go to the teacher and explain. So, as a parent, you just be like, as you know, you're telling me. You just get. So I told her, I'll do it. So when I dropped her off, I was rushing to get here. And so when I was going to go, she said, Auntie Ruth, you told me that you'd apologize to teacher. I said, oh, yeah. And I went. She held my hand. I said, I'm so sorry. I'm the one who made her late. And she said, thank you. And I went. Then in my head, as I'm going out, I'm thinking, as in, to me, I tell my mom, she come to apologize. Because I made, what's you in school? Yeah, but then as you've spoken about it, just realizing that even younger people, and she's an alpha because she's 9, they just want you to be authentic, like just to show that you're also human. Don't think, even though you're an adult, calm down, as in, also respect me as I respect you. I think that respect is what many people want. And you've talked about the truth, and it's so important for us. The truth is constant, but many youth workers, and we are doing many programs to talk about these sensitive topics. Maybe where we've seen that we're doing that is wrong, not wrong, I don't say wrong because people are doing great programs out here, but how can we go in navigating these topics that maybe sometimes seem sensitive, and now if you are doing it in a way that is not effective or impacting the younger generation, we're doing it with our mindset. So how can you advise the youth workers? Because NAYNET is a platform for youth workers to come and just congregate and learn from one another, that we could do with regards to navigating different topics and conversations. Yeah.
One of the key things, first of all, is I think a very good place to start is just making bold prayers. I think sometimes people want 10 points to everything, but I feel like just starting off with prayers.
You don't like that. You don't just like 10 points.
Yeah, no, but like
that's what we are used to.
Yeah,
so
there's to faith.
And we try and make ministry so corporate, and we forget that God is the one who literally orders your steps. Starting off with prayer and making one of the key things I tell God, give me a heart for the lost. Give me a heart, like literally. Let me be so. There are people who are disturbed knowing that there's somebody who has not heard the gospel. Let me be one of those people. Let me literally cry at the sight at knowing that person does not know the truth. And from that, when you're in a space where you're willing to serve, even Jesus talks about, for you to lead, you must learn to serve. And that is the leadership and the ministry model that Jesus gives us. From there, understand that we live in the devil is not being intelligent, but in a place where, in a generation where everyone thinks that truth is subjective. That your truth and my truth can coexist. But the Bible is an objective truth. It is a truth that diminishes all lies. It is a truth that says, yes, you're a Muslim and I am Christian, and also my God is the one that is real and yours is false. Having that understanding, because one of the key things that I've seen, even in a world that is globalized, one of the perspectives is that, we can all coexist. Yes, we can coexist. I will respect you as my Muslim neighbor. I will respect you as my bisexual friend or as my transgender person, and all of these things. Is that we now then, because we want to make people happy, or we want to meet people with love, which is important. Love is a key element. We stop telling people the truth.
In our need to be
accommodating
and to love.
We stop telling people the truth. First of all, just start off by prayer, asking the Lord, literally give me a heart for the lost. Give me a heart to literally let me be a good vessel to share your message, to share your love with one another. And now how can I create spaces that I can speak into the needs of people? People are looking for truth. Let me tell you, you don't like living in sin. Anyone who is living in sin, deep down, they know that there's something amiss in their lives.
Yeah.
There's something amiss in their lives. Learn how to communicate. Go pick up a book and learn how Muslims think about their faith and all. Instead of you just coming to Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and all of these things, or talking about talking to the LGBTQ plus community, as much as you're telling them that this is a sin, one of the things that has been elevated within the African context is that their sin is greater than your sin.
Their sins that are
You
greater
know,
than others.
and God hates them. And also one of the key things that the enemy has done within the LGBTQ plus community is an attack on identity. The difference with the people who are in that space have tied their sin to their identity. You don't go calling yourself, or just because I struggle with lust, oh, hey, I'm lust.
True.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
But now, because now, oh, hey, I'm Hope and I'm a lesbian. You've tied this to your identity. And because it's in your identity, it's harder to break. So there's an issue. And we find our identity in God. You cannot find and understand who you are and who you are meant to be without actually being in communion and fellowship with God. Understanding these key things allows you to know how to minister to people. There are people who you need to create a space for them to come as they are. In your churches, do you think a person who is struggling with same-sex attraction will be able to come as they are? In your conferences, are you doing ministry in a way that people who are outside of the church can come as they are? You're talking about doing evangelizing and all, and you're doing your events, all of them in church. How are you supposed to find the lost and the lost are not in church? How are you even thinking the back end of these things? How? Those small things, you need to find a way. How can we accommodate and just get them into the building and teach on the love of Christ? How all of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. And Jesus does not hate you or hate me. He came and died so that we can be reconciled to him. And all of that comes from a place of love. And I've seen a lot of people doing ministry and don't have any love in their hearts.
Outside of love. What?
That's why they're struggling. That's why they're going amiss. You're there preaching the truth, but you have no love in your heart. You're speaking from a place of anger. You're there talking about how the LGBTQ plus community and these people are living in sin, and then somebody insults you and then you insult them back. You forget about the God that you're representing. I've seen it in debates. Christians are the meanest people there. And you're forgetting that, oh my God, you're representing a God of love, a God of self-control. And people will remember that interaction. Yeah. They might not even remember what you said. They might not even give their lives to Christ in that moment. Yeah. But just because of how you spoke to them in that moment, they remember, that angry believer. Me, apana.
Thank you.
I don't want those believers who are always talking to people to how in their comments. I don't know if you guys see TikTok comments and this believe. You then click their profile. It's the one, God first, mother of 3, happy wife, believer. And you're there hating in somebody's comments.
Wow.
Like, make it make sense.
Oh, Lord.
Make it make sense.
True.
Wow. Oh my God! This is so good.
Yeah. I'm just listening to you speak. I'm just staring. I'm like, wow, you're such a well of wisdom, and truly, yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Like, truly, when God says, "Do not let anyone look down upon you," and you really, truly exude that statement. Yeah.
It's so. You've said that Christians are the meanest, and our pastor was saying, it's so interesting that when you meet someone and they're speaking in tongues, that's where you say, "Oh, that's a believer." But you never meet someone who has self-control.
Yeah.
And think, oh wow, that's a believer.
That's a believer,
And
yeah.
the fruits of the Holy Spirit are love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, and self-control. You never meet someone who's good and say, wow, that's such a Christian.
You're such a Christian,
Yeah, but we always tie it to
the gifts.
Yeah, the gifts and not the fruit.
Yeah.
And it is the fruit.
And no gifts are without repentance.
Hallelujah.
So like anyone, like God says, he doesn't withdraw his gift
he doesn't
because
withdraw.
It's like that meme where it says you speak in tongues but gossip in English.
That one was
Like I always look at that, I'm like,
Oh man. Hey.
And just saying that, I think what I'm hearing is such a need for authenticity.
Yes.
Such a need for this is who I am.
Yes.
When the cameras are on and when they're off.
Yes.
And I think that's what the Gen Z and the Gen Alpha want, is that the same person who shows up on Sunday to preach to me is the same person if I meet on Monday when they're not in their suit.
Yes.
I can still relate to that person. Maybe just speak about that.
I think one of the key things that we need to understand as well is that a lot of young people, and I was talking about this with somebody when people says, okay, so now this justice thing is driving people away from the church. I'm like, people have not started walking away from the church because of mandamano. People have started seeing injustices over the years, even in their own church communities. And that has indirectly spoken to them that the church does not care about me. You've seen your mother go give out all of her money to the church and you guys lack food to eat. You've seen how your mother is serving endlessly, tirelessly in that church and all of that stuff. And when your time of need, your pastor can't even come and give you prayers. You've seen sexual abuse happening in the church. You've seen leaders being inappropriate, but not literally being held to an accountable standard. You've seen money being laundered in the church. That is the mentality that a lot of people have. And I think the previous generations have, like sometimes I have conversations with my grandma and we fight a lot, by the way, with our with our thoughts and what. She's just like, that's just how things are. It's not like you guys were not noticing, it's that you guys were being quiet about it. And then you've just gotten, even with corruption in Kenya, it's not a new thing. You guys knew. Like you knew. It's not like, oh, this is a new revelation and it was close to you. You've been knowing and all. I know older people and some of my aunties and people who would go to church knowing that your pastor is being unfaithful to their wife.
True.
Just because he's a man of God and all of these things, who are walking in sin and all of that stuff. So for me, the main thing that young people, you've said it, young people need to see people who reflect Christ. They don't just need to be told about the truth. They need to see it in your life. They need to see it in your life. And we're not impressed by your prophecies, by your word. First of all, we've already said demystifying and calling. We are waking up to a lot of these false prophets and all of that. That's why you'll not find a lot of Gen Zs, and especially in the context of Nairobi, at Sujui Prophet, who and who and who, and stuff like that. Because we can see through the masks. And I tell people, the evidence, you've just said it, the evidence of walking with the Holy Spirit is your fruit. And I always ask people, as a believer, what does your fruit look like?
Yeah. True.
Because you will ultimately look like who you're walking with. So if you're walking with God, are you looking like God? And your fruit gift is a gift. You can only accept it or reject it or whatever. You didn't ask for it. You are given. But fruit takes cultivation. It takes the refining work of Jesus Christ for you to be loving, to
produce that fruit.
For you to be what? Even for me, when I got saved, I used to be me, but with pride. Yes, because now I've read a lot. I've done my first year, I've already read the whole Bible and all of these things. And I thought, just because I'm telling you the truth, I'm telling you in the right way. And the Lord really convicted me of that. And convicted me and told me I have to kill that pride. And then I isolated myself from the church. And the Lord, I remember very clearly the Lord telling me, you cannot love me and hate my body.
That's true.
So even when we're speaking of these injustices, where is your standpoint? Where is your standpoint? Are you doing it from a place of love? Even when you're holding your leaders accountable, even when you're seeing somebody falling. Have you, I don't know if you guys have seen sometimes how leaders correct people. You feel like you don't want to come back to that church. Even within our community, there are people who've come to me, oh, I've had, even other leaders, oh, I've done this, I've fallen in this way. And one thing I've told people, and one of the cultures I've always wanted to create, and I hope that I'm going to be able to keep on creating this culture, and I tell them, I care about you more than I care about results. So it's like, okay, let me work with you. What can I do to take off of your plate? Some leaders, it's like, you continue doing whatever, fast finish and continue producing what and what. And people are doing ministry and losing God because leaders are just caring about results. Just because you're being productive, I don't want to know, how is your heart? How is your heart? How is your walk with the Lord? When was the last time you opened your word? When was the last time you spent time in prayer? And that's the disconnect. We see it in our pastors. We see it in our youth leaders. I mean, even there are moments where I was going to the club, I'm meeting my youth leader in the club. And I'm just there like,
sir.
And then you want to come preach for me on Sunday. Aye, what's the difference between your life and my life? What's the difference? Like, genuinely.
Who's helping? Who even can help you?
Like, if I tell you the amount, like, seeing all of these things, or you're in church and you know this couple, they're leaders and you know they're having sex. And they will sit there and tell you, oh, these are boundaries we need to keep in relationships and all of these things and stuff like that. So how are you representing Christ? Your walk will show more than what you say.
That's true. Yeah.
So being authentic as a leader and also inviting people into your life. Like right now, I'm in a secular school, USIU, very secular school. When I joined USIU, my whole friend group, not all of them were non-believers. All of them, non-believers. One of my very good friends, a very athlete, smokes a lot, all of that. And, and I've invited them into the space. We talk about, we even argue, and I'm like, yeah, this is what I believe, this is what I do, what, and all of these things. And they usually call me the pastor of the friend group and stuff like that. So my friend would tell their friends, oh, yeah, my friend, yeah, she's a pastor. She's doing anytime because she thinks of ministry. Anything is you're a pastor. Yeah. But oh, she's never condemned me for smoking weed. She's never done what and what. And I've seen like one of my other very good friends. She came for one of our events and got saved. Wow, beautiful. And there are people I've seen gradual changes. They might not stop smoking weed or doing what and what right now, but they'll come and tell me, show me, how do I read my Bible again? How do I do what and what?
Oh my God. I think that's so, oh jeez, I have so many thoughts running through my mind. But one thing I'm realizing is what she's saying. Sometimes we feel like just because you've preached today, the person has to get born again today.
Today.
And I think just
that result,
that what she's saying is learning to hold space for someone. Okay. So I preached to you today. My goal is not to convert you today, but it's for me to plant that seed.
It's also not your job to convert them.
Right? Truly.
Like,
what power do we have?
You don't have any power.
It
says what? Paul
plants, Apollos water, but it's God who makes it grow.
The capacity.
And I think it's such a beautiful way to show it that let's hold space for them and know that we can, like, as long as you know your faith and you know why you believe. But I want to ask Hope a question. As you interact with these people, as you interact with our friends who are not yet of the faith, apart from us actually being grounded in our faith, because that's a big part of you not falling over, because they say it's easier to pull someone down, someone who's seated here, it's easier to pull them down than it is to pull someone up. How then do we hold space and still remain true and avoid compromise?
I love that question. One of the things is, first of all, discipleship. I think every believer should always be in a space where they're constantly being discipled, no matter where you're at, even pastors. I think one of the key things that we see with pastors going wild is because there's no discipleship or accountability. That means there's accountability happening. I mean, 2 or 3 years ago, a very good pastor friend as well of mine started walking with me, and she's the one who really, the Lord used her to refine me properly. And there are moments where the Lord will just tell her something about my life. And me, I've not told her anything. I've not. The Holy Spirit just snitches. And
like
all, you know,
he'd be like that.
And the last 2 years, the Ewagatas have worked so closely with me. I live in their house practically all the time, and that's another thing. They've invited me into their space. I see how they do life. I see how they serve one another. I see how they serve their kids, and they also pour into me. So I think being in a space where you're constantly being discipled, and as well having friends who are believers, who can hold you accountable, who can pray with you, that ultimately is what holds you up. I think it's very important for every believer to have close friends who are saved, and also knowing where you're at. There's some things there's some spaces I can't mingle in. I still have boundaries. We can hang out like this. Yes, you're drinking what, but me, I'm not going to you to the club to do what and what. Oh yeah, I'm not gonna drink, but I'm just gonna be here with you. No, it's important to have boundaries, even when you're engaging with people, not condemning them, but know your limits and also communicate them to them, and be like, hey, this is not what I do. This is not what I'm doing. Yeah. And just being prayerful. The Lord will tell you. The Lord will help you. The Lord will tell you that one. No. It's not for everyone. The Lord shows you and highlights who to have in your space. Yeah. But just being in a space of accountability 100% helps.
That's true.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I think just to maybe plug DJ Mose, I think he's doing that very beautifully with the third service. Like he's taking it to like Nairobi Street. Me the first time
And I
saw
was
my
there.
poster. Yeah, and I said we are going to Nairobi Street Kitchen.
Yeah, even we had never been there before. I went just for
I went to NSK before it got into when it first opened. It was more so about the food experience.
Yeah.
And then after it's when it turned into a club. But then I was like, this is so brilliant.
Yeah.
Because if the goal is evangelism, like I was just there on Sunday. And
10.
were you at the?
We went to the other one.
Okay, so we finished off with communion.
Yeah.
And like him
We also
sharing
did-
the word and all of these
yeah.
things. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Like I literally saw somebody coming in drinking what and all of these things, and I'm seeing them engaging and like listening to the gospel music, what and what, and just knowing that there's a different alternative. And I posted it so much on my stories, and all of my non-saved friends were like, "Oh, I want to go for that.
Yeah.
I want to go for that."
Yeah.
It truly is so brilliant.
Yeah. Yes.
But it's also so beautiful because remember when we were there, the lady who was seated before, they were
Yeah,
seated
they
in front
were
of us. They were
vaping
just
or something.
vaping.
Yeah.
But when we had communion, you could tell there's just an atmosphere that was created. And this, I don't know if
Those
to call
are
it.
atmosphere of like love, like it was like God was just hugging you and
Oh
saying,
my God.
"I love you." And then the song we sang was that "Yet," like "Don't
Yeah,
give up on me yet."
Such
I'm sure people were just breaking down and just being like, "God, I know I'm not your best bet, but
But you still,
and I could see where those ladies are also so
it was so beautiful to see, just see how his beauty. So DJ Mose has that service.
Props.
Let's flag him on that. But that just holding space and knowing your boundaries. And wow, this has been such a good conversation.
imagine because it has to end. Maybe, hope we just give you a part in short. Just maybe what you want to share as you just had this conversation, how we've gone round. Maybe
May I have another question?
Okay.
Because Madam Producer is looking at us badly.
Yeah. Yes, please.
But I just wanted to ask Hope. Let's rephrase. How does the youth pastor disciple or love them through the mistakes? Because we fall, right? And we've said we want to be authentic, right? And we want to call out people in love. How do we effectively pastor people that are also going through, or minister to people or serve people that are going through the brokenness of a season and still remaining authentic and still loving them?
Yeah. Right now I'm even feeling very emotional because one of my very good friends, her name is Sasha. She just did the Alpha series and it just came out today. We've been friends since I was about like 8 years old. And I got saved before, and then she was still in the in the world. And then on her 18th birthday, I forced her to come to church with me. And then that day I felt the Holy Spirit. The Lord told me, like, Sasha needs to come to church on Sunday. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to get this girl to come? She already has church hurt. She already has what and what. So, and the Lord was also doing her work, his work rather, in her life. So we went to church and the Holy Spirit really spoke to her, and that's when she started her journey. But of course it wasn't linear. But just holding space, like, because I remember there are moments where I would get frustrated and be like, hey, but we've just what are you talking about? Why are you going back here? Yeah. But being the person who is intentional with walking with somebody, not just telling them, like actually coming from a place where you care about them. And where that way that Lord even informs you of how you can pray for this person. Because I've learned, I remember even with my younger sister before she got saved, I would always fight with her. Why are you still doing this? Why are you doing what? Because your intentions, of course, are like, yeah, I want the best for you and all. And I remember the Lord literally telling me, you can't love her more than I love her. So having that mindset and going into a place, let me just walk with you, let me do life with you, and curating that space. Somebody can come and tell you, yes, I was in the club yesterday night, I had sex with this person, I did 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and you tell them God still loves you, and he can meet you where you are, and you have not let him down yet. And he thought about you when he went to the cross. Because in those moments, the enemy is running to condemn them. He is running to condemn them. And you need to show them the love of God. And the love of God is not telling them, yes, continue in this place. It's like telling them, yes, God loves you, and he died for you so that you can be freed from this. He died for you so that you can live a better life. And let me walk with you. And when they fall again, and you are there, and you still go and pray. Guys, let me tell you, this year I've learned prayer, the power of prayer. Pray. Like, pray. I've seen it so evidently. Right now, I'm looking at Sasha. She's a full-time missionary. I'm looking at my sister. She just turned 18, and she's a full-time missionary with Kubamba as well. I've seen the evidence of how prayer works. How prayer works. God is a God who loves all of his people. He loves, and he wants the best for them. So prayer will even help you not get frustrated with the person. God, show me how to love this person. Show me how to walk with this person. So to all of the youth leaders, youth pastors, whoever, because you don't have the capacity to walk with everyone, whoever the Lord highlights, walk with them. Take them to do whatever. Let's go bowl. Let's go do what and what. Understand their story. From there, you can even understand their struggles, where certain patterns started from. Even sometimes people don't even understand when I started doing this and this and this. But because the wisdom the Lord gives you, when you come with that mindset of wanting to understand the person and knowing the person and doing life with them, because just because they get saved right now doesn't mean that their path is going to be straight. They still need people to walk with. So love on them, walk with them, and create a space where they can run to you when they fall. Because if they don't have that space, the devil is waiting to condemn them, and they are falling short and walking away from the faith.
Wow. Hey, wow. There's truly creating a space, like walking with people. And it's not a shameless plug though, but walking with people next year, advanced conference. The theme is discipleship, leaving a legacy.
Wow.
So even that, just as you were talking, I was just like, next year, these conversations truly we'll have sessions and segments where we can have more of that, just understanding discipleship, walking with someone. So guys, please mark April 2025. We'll give the dates later on, where we'll just have youth workers from across the continent coming together and learning, and the theme is discipleship. Wow. I know we do not want this to end, but it has to end.
It has to
at
end.
one point.
It has to end. But the conversation doesn't have to end.
The conversation is not ending.
You can engage us in the comments.
Yes,
you can reach out to us for using all the social media platforms for NAYNET, and you can also reach out to Hope at How to Life.
How to Life and Hope Sekoh. That's my personal
social media pages.
Yes.
Engage her, please. Just talk
Please
to her.
do.
And
I think even youth pastors and youth leaders who are wondering, how do we do this? Reach out to her and she have conversations. We've had conversations with her even away from the cameras, and there's a lot, guys. So thank you so much for joining this conversation. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And we look forward. We're at Kuza Podcast Studio. So please also check out Kuza pages, social media. I think it's all Kuza across all social media platforms. They are doing amazing stuff. Their blogs are phenomenal. Go out and read them, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.